This episode of the Agile Uprising podcast is brought to you by Lean TV. Lean TV for the Apple TV allows anyone to run and participate in lean coffee-style meetings. This is great for business, brainstorming, family planning, or anything else. Lean TV takes care of the notes, voting, prioritizing, timekeeping, and advancing, all without the need for a meeting facilitator, boards, sticky notes, etc. Hundreds of notes can be written and discarded in an instant. Along with the Apple TV app, there are free companion apps on iOS and Android. No internet connection needed. Visit leantv.io for more info.
This is the Agile Uprising podcast.
This episode of the Agile Uprising podcast features our exclusive interview with Agile Manifesto signer Jon Kern. This interview is part of our Agile Manifesto retrospective project. You can learn more about this project at agileuprising.com. The interview took place on August 31st, 2016 at the Conshohocken Brewery in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Jon's original Manifesto event notes are available on agileuprising.com and linked to in the show's summary. Please subscribe to this podcast for more Manifesto retrospective interviews and other exclusive Agile Uprising content.
We started talking about what you were doing before the Manifesto, like in the earlier conversation. You said you were working with one of the founders that you're with now, and he was driving you insane with the /* as a feature, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so back before the Manifesto even was an idea, what was it that you were doing? Like, you were a developer, I understand, right?
No, I'm an aerospace engineer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, that's probably a blessing. I do not have formal computer science training. You would laugh, all of you would laugh at my lack of knowledge of like the Knuth, freaking gigantic volume 4 books of, like, I don't give a shit about doubly linked lists and making one faster. Because I rely on you guys to figure that crap out.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what industry were you? Were you in aerospace?
So I had flight simulation, real-time, man-in-the-loop, centrifuge. So what's cool is in college, I started with punch cards on one. So as an aerospace, we had 2 computer classes, I think. Fortran.
Oh my God.
And I believe the first had cards, and the second was these funny things called terminals, where you could type text, like VT100s probably, right? So that's kind of what I learned.
Where'd you go to school?
Ohio State. Go Buckeyes.
The Ohio State.
Right.
Sorry.
The Ohio State. Like, what other one is there?
So I will tell you this.
Is that Ohio U? So
I know an aerospace...
Stupid Miami people.
I know an aerospace engineer.
Yeah?
He's actually now a rocket scientist.
I'm not. I was air breathing.
He went to Michigan.
Clear. Michigan, yep. Muck, Michigan. I'm cool with that.
All right. I will try not to offend you again.
It's all right.
I make no promises.
No, I actually met... So, Woody Hayes, like famous, so I met him.
How?
Walking from near the Horseshoe Stadiums were 2 dorms. I was on the 22nd floor of the dorm, and we would walk past the Horseshoe Stadiums to get to classes, the Horseshoe Stadium. And I remember one time I'm walking past, someone comes up behind me, puts his arm around me and says, "Hey son, how you doing?" And I look over my shoulder, it's like, "Oh, Mr. Hayes, wow." And he was like, "Your best granddad."
Yeah. That's interesting. My next question was going to be, what was your opening line when you walked up to Woody Hayes? But
he walked up to me and he was interested about me.
Why? What do you think drew me up?
Because he's a leader. That's what leaders do. They don't give a crap about themselves. They leave you after a conversation because they talk about you, not about them. So he was just, "Hey, what are you taking? What are you studying? How's it going?" I mean, I was really impressed with Woody Hayes. He was like your favorite granddad.
So do you remember what you felt like when Woody Hayes walked away?
Oh, I was like on Yeah, I mean, he was famous. Like, oh my God, he's like the guy.
If only Twitter existed then. That would have been your best tweet ever.
I would have gotten a selfie.
Yeah.
For shizzle. And also I met the inventor of the jet engine,
You're gonna have to help. I'm not that deep into my nerd school.
Hans von Ohain.
Yeah. I'm going German. It's German?
Yeah. Well, of course. Even though
It's a safe bet.
Even though your English wife would say, "Oh, really? Wasn't it Frank Whittle?" So there's a camaraderie there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm the anti-Franz von Wilhelm.
Hans von Ohain.
That's what I meant.
No, so anyway, it had nothing to do with Agile. But I'm an aero guy, so as an engineer, we just try to solve problems. Like, I like to joke, even in a lot of keynote addresses I would do in front of developers. I would say, I'm an engineer by training. Sorry, no offense, but engineers put man on the moon, not scientists.
Yep.
So, I don't really care about computer science. Software engineering I care about. So, so for me, I'm trying to solve problems, get crap done, not investigate the best doubly linked list algorithm. So I'm glad people do. I want to take advantage of it, but I don't want to do basic research to figure out how to get a web app.
So how do you feel about scientific method?
I tend to be very pragmatic and getting crap done.
Okay.
So to me, I kind of cut my teeth doing a lot of Defense Department contract work, flight simulation, DoD, F-14 flat spins, just like Goose died in a flat spin in Top Gun. I was actually putting people through flat spin training in centrifuges that we built. One of my first big tasks was to reverse engineer and improve the simulation code for the F-14, because it was doing like stupid 60-bit twiddling, not 64. Cyber supercomputer was a 60-bit machine. So there was like weird shit from somebody who knew way too much about the machine architecture embedded in like what you might consider business logic for the flight simulation. So I had to turn that into stuff an engineer can understand. So when you look at the code, you can figure it out.
Readable,
yeah.
And it's one of the oldies, right?
It's a classic. Like, yeah, you wrote it once, dumbass, but like the rest of us have to read it 1,000 times. So make your freaking variables like something I can comprehend.
So then how do you go from working on the DoD contracts, so working on the F-14's flat spin simulations, to being in Snowbird? What was the connective tissue? Who gave you the phone call? What was the phone call?
So my first steps were towards combating Mil Standard 2167 regulations for how to do software, which was super, like, the BRD, the SRS, you need a freaking acronym to figure out, wait, aren't we doing like R&D development? Like, how am I supposed to fix price something we're doing exploratory research on? So as a taxpayer, so I'm a raging libertarian type. So as a taxpayer, I didn't want to waste my money or the customer's money, which happened to be the government, to do like stupid stuff to satisfy some out-of-date regulation or standard that didn't make sense in the context. So I created like more of a lightweight phased methodology, and at the same time I started doing OO, because I was doing Turbo C, and then Turbo C++ came out, so I learned C++. Oh, this is kind of cool. Wow, for the first time this software stuff makes sense because it matches my engineering diagrams, because I was used to block diagrams as an engineer. Interface, like, hey, what's the fuel control system for the cruise missile? Well, it's got this interface called, 5 millivolt signal to the temperature sensor, something to fuel flow. So it was really the first time I never understood data flow diagrams, right? Stuff that the software people in my company were showing me never clicked. But this clicked, because it was like, oh, I get it. So I could represent things in the domain with a class that held the information about state.
So it's early day domain-driven
with
design.
methods, right? Yeah, it was before DDD. Before,
Yeah, but this is kind of like an aha moment.
right. And I was looking for OO stuff, so I ran across Booch methods and Peter Code. Booch clouds didn't resonate with me, but Peter Code did. So I started picking up on code methodology. Great little books. He and Ed Jordan wrote some books. So that really was my foundation.
Roughly what year? Like
Early 90s.
early 90s?
Then I met Peter Code in 92. Got some more, like, guru. He's a double E, electrical engineer.
Yeah.
And then I was doing domain modeling with PowerPoint and sequence diagrams with Excel, like spreadsheets with sequence diagrams. You could draw arrows across cells and put methods across, right? I could do sequence diagrams, but of course they get out of date after you start coding. So about 94 maybe, I found Peter Code had something called Together, which did like UML modeling, well, code notation, and UMT, unified, like I think that was Roomba. I don't think we did Booch. Yeah, so I started getting into more so I bought, much to my wife's chagrin, and I asked Peter, I said, hey, can I get like a 3-month payment program? Because buying this is so early 90s, I think, we had a young kid, Jon Kern spending $1,000 on a freaking piece of software for work, because my company was too cheap to buy it, and they didn't, here's like the Aero guy, not the software team, the Aero guy buying this package that would allow me to do modeling and write C++ code at the same time I modeled. So they never got out of date.
Right.
And then I became a groupie and started working with the Together team in Russia, even before there was such a thing. And I helped them when they did like a release with Borland, C++. And that was another interesting lesson. And there was something that I discovered somewhere in the process that was like, oh wait, but I got a solution. Look, I can modify this and this, that, and the other thing, and it'll work, and we can deliver it. And they're like, no, it's too late. I'm like, no, it's simple. It's just put this configuration file and we can ship it. No, you don't understand. We already took screenshots. We're already on the process of developing the CDs. Do you know what CDs are? They're like hard disks.
What's a disk?
Yeah. Things that we had to ship and send in the mail. So that was
the mail.
Right. So that was another interesting lesson. Like, oh. So a release cycle was constrained by a non-agile, like, sorry, we've already cut the documentation with the screenshots that don't include what you're doing. And no, you can't, there's no time. It's shipping, right? That ship is, so there's a bunch of things that kind of were a confluence of what I started with, like a lightweight methodology, working with Peter Code, and then Bob Martin kind of started the whole. So I was nobody per se,
right?
But Peter Code was.
Yeah.
So it was because I was working with Peter Code. We were publishing books on feature-driven development, and it was because I was on the coattails of Peter Code. Even though I had published my lightweight methodologies prior to that,
right?
It was really Bob.
That was the catalyst.
Bob knew of Peter Code.
Yeah.
And Peter Code said, "Here, John, knock yourself out. You go do this." So that's why I ended up in Salt Lake City. But we started early on with some, like in Ward Cunningham's wiki.
Yeah.
Like we were collaborating on the phone remotely, all of us, and it became apparent we might want to have a more robust conversation amongst
So
us.
how did you get? I got the Bob Martin. How did
Send
you
an
get?
email.
No, but how did you get in touch with Ward? With Ward Cunningham?
Bob, I think Bob did it all.
Really?
I think he was the catalyst. He knew about Ward. He knew about Peter Code. He knew about Alan. Well, so he knew about C3 XP.
Yeah.
Probably more. That'd be my guess. You should ask him. So I think I'm pretty sure he was the initial sending out an email, and it landed on my desk.
Here's the question that I always had: were all of those contributors working in the same industry? Were they all doing
No.
like DoD stuff, or
No.
had they been influenced by the monotony and the frustration that was DoD development?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think so, because the C3 guys, Kent Beck, Ward, Ron Jet, Chet. Chet wasn't there, but they were doing what? The Chrysler payroll, right?
Right.
Is that what they were doing?
Yeah.
So they were like big companies, but
Big
not
company like
necessarily all
pay,
DoD.
and I was just doing it as a unwilling taxpayer to just hemorrhage money for stupid large, basically a bunch of us, certainly as a TogetherSoft guy. I mean, we didn't create TogetherSoft until 2000, but as a consultant, as a practicing, software developer company, and I had my own company starting in '95, and I did work with Peter Code, so I would do consulting with him. But we certainly weren't in the same industry. It was really more about, I think, independent. It's like, so who did invent the jet engine? Frank Whittle or Hans von Ohagen? Who knows? They were both driven probably by the same kind of goal, just like I think a lot of these practitioners are. So there was no collusion. There's no, I didn't know any of these people.
Well, the good thing is we know who signed the Agile Manifesto.
We do.
You all have your names on it,
Right. Yeah, so it was really, I think, just happenstance due to, and I know we invited Brady Booch, but he couldn't make it or whatever. So
when
we
you
were
walked in-
combating heavyweight, I don't know if you guys know RUP,
Very
right?
familiar,
But,
yeah.
in those days, it's like combating Microsoft. It was the big gorilla.
Yeah.
So I loved competing with RUP because I kicked Rational's ass with TogetherSoft. And I never badmouthed them. They did their things. We did our things. We were better.
Yeah.
They finally copied what we did after a while. But, so that was part of it, was none of us had as big a voice as the marketing arm of Rational. And we felt compelled to sort of, be the champions for the small guy and say, you don't have to go heavyweight.
So what I'll do is I'll take a long time to frame the next question, but let's fast forward a little bit. You're in the resort, and you guys are starting to collaborate. First of all, how many guys, you walk into the room, which in my mind it is one big room, full of
Like that
angels
picture.
playing, it's like angels playing harps and the enlightenment of God himself shining down upon you guys, right?
No.
Shit. I missed it.
Yeah, no, it was just, cool. Nice to meet you, right? Yeah. Ken Beck, yeah, you wrote some XP shit. Yeah.
So actually, that is the question. That is the question. How many guys did you walk into the room knowing?
Me, personally,
Yeah,
probably
you-
none.
By name.
Bob Martin, by name? Oh. Great question. So there were a few that I definitely did not know, like DSDM and some of those guys.
How about those crazy Scrum guys? Those two crazy Scrum guys. Did you know them
I
at all?
didn't know Scrum at all. No. Like, I probably know, Ken Beck, knew of. Bob Martin for sure.
Yeah.
Big name, right?
Yeah.
So,
And you knew Walt. Ward. I'm sorry, Ward.
Ward.
Wow.
Only because of
Work led into conversation here.
Only.
have a wall- I have
they're
a-
not making methamphetamine. So
No.
yeah.
Good work. No, I know. Anyway.
So
But-
along those lines, right, when you're in the room with all those people, what was that like when I mean, there's a common understanding and common respect that we're all there for the same
Yeah,
thing.
and we had met virtually, right? So we had a bunch of conversations virtually.
So that there was icebreakers. And,
Yeah.
So when you get in the room, was it like was it cool? Was it like a lot of chemistry? Was everybody kind of?
I think so.
Right away?
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's a lot of smart people in one room.
A lot of ego in a room.
Was there?
I didn't think so.
At the time,
But
probably not.
I should
as
say a
much
lot
as
of
it would be
potential,
now.
a lot of potential for ego in the room. But I didn't feel it.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
I love it.
Were there
And-
beers involved?
Oh yeah, we only worked half a day, and then we either drank beer or skied.
Was it
Hell yeah.
2 or 3 days?
2, I think.
Yeah. And you skied as well?
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
And the British guy, Martin Fowler, of course, people know him too.
Is everybody a good load?
He couldn't ski, yeah.
Yeah, they got no mountains.
Alistair's good.
Yeah. Well, he grew up there.
Oh, that's where he lived. So we were picking between Anguilla and skiing.
I'm not going to say you chose poorly because I appreciate where I'm at in my career because of you guys.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're Anguilla, the tequila or something would have won.
Yeah, I did my honeymoon in Anguilla, but yeah, I love skiing.
So when you're sitting there and you're signing the manifesto, or not signing, but you're crafting it, right, over the days. You were there, based on the way we were talking, you were there mostly to be a proponent for lightweight documentation, which is obviously in there.
Well, we were there to share our experience and try to figure out what are you doing, what are you doing, what sort of common things are right. What are there common threads that we can distill? So. I remember a few. I actually have some notes from the days that we were there. But I still have those documents.
Can I get pictures from that?
You can. I can give you pictures. Everyone shared what they did. Kent Beck would say what he did. I said what I did, like how I did development, because I was kind of a blend between probably XP and Kanban. I still am. I'm not good enough to be XP. I'm not that skilled. But I'm kind of more pragmatic and less bureaucratic. So I tend to err on the side of I just want to do a set of things in the right order. I don't give a crap about planning. I hate planning.
I think we covered that before.
We did. Yeah. So we shared what he's, because I never heard of DSDM, I never heard of Scrum, I never heard of XP. Martin Fowler, he wasn't probably a proponent of anything in particular, or Bob Martin per se, right?
Just do the right thing.
Yeah, it was like Alistair and Highsmith. They had different views, like Crystal, and so we definitely fought and argued about 2 weeks. Are you insane? You can't do that in 2 weeks. A month? What the hell are you talking about? Why would anyone ever do a month?
Yeah.
So you can see compromises in the 12 principles. Like,
there obviously were some stronger personalities in the room, just based on the way you said that. Were there many super alphas, or was there just 1 or 2 super alphas? Because we're talking about software engineers for the most part, right? I know you're not, but you weren't at that time. And
I'm not a computer scientist.
By nature,
I would say I'm a software engineer.
By nature, those personalities are a little bit more if we were going to paint the portrait of a software engineer at that time, or a computer scientist at that time, they're more introverted. But it sounds like there's a lot of personality in this.
Yeah, nobody well, there were a few people that might have been more introverted.
Where did you fall on the spectrum?
Yes. No, I was.
How much beer was involved?
Well, during the day, not much, but I would like to think. All I know is I got my points across. I was very vocal. I'm pretty opinionated about making sure lightweight methodologies ruled the day because of my experience with the heavyweight. And one of the cool strategies that I think Martin Fowler did was, all right, here's some index cards. Everybody write a handful of words on a card and throw it in the middle of the floor, and then we'll go over them. I'm pretty sure the very first one I wrote was honesty. And I say that because of the, hey, we're 80% done.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Right? I mean, my point was, you can game the system if you want Gantt charts, because I grew up in more of the engineering Gantt charts. I actually tried to do my initial software development like Gantt, like I did engineering, and crashed and burned. It's like, okay, you and one army is going to make this work.
Was earned value a thing? Were you familiar with earned value?
I've heard of it, but it was not a thing then, to my knowledge.
Oh yeah,
but I've heard of that.
That makes no sense.
But to me, the key was crystal. Like, it's either done or not.
Yeah.
There are no partial credit. You know, and I was always a proponent of a full vertical slice. There is no, hey, I got the UI done. I don't care. Unless there was like a lot of you had to do a lot of crazy testing out in the wild, and you're coming up with like awesome UX. Okay, go ahead and test that. But that's a task, right? That's not a feature. So to me, I was very adamant about making sure that, because again, DoD documentation.
The first card you filled out said what?
Honesty.
So
because so much in non-lightweight methodology was like bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to build I remember consulting with USAA and meeting the Air Force, the leader, General Walker, I think he was a CIA, not CIO.
Close enough. Same role.
Tipping my hat of why I was in Russia for 3 years. But,
wow.
But I remember walking through a room full of people doing nothing but 9 months of use cases. And I was the one like, dude, what are you doing? Well, they tell me they don't know the requirements, so they're like reverse engineering what we do, and they're making all the requirements again. I'm like, oh my God. So at the end of 9, or I would see like one group bid on the upfront, classic waterfall. And that, as a contractor who just wanted to get shit done, it confounded me that people actually thought there's value in building a river raft full of documentation and then giving it to Rob. Okay, Rob, go implement it. How much of the nuance of those conversations just goes, whoop, okay, and you're doing design, by the way, and you're doing development, and you're not going to talk to each other, So that kind of crap, I wanted to make sure that people knew damn well that was.
So let me ask you, one of my favorite, the most beautiful pieces of the manifesto, and as it relates to the principles, I think it's somewhere towards the bottom, but I might be visually off here, is the respect for people, right? How much of the honesty conversation, when they pulled that card out of the middle of the room, led to that principle being written about respecting people?
I don't know. I would say, from my perspective, I wasn't that guy talking about respecting people.
I'd argue you were, based on everything you said.
But you're right. I mean, but that kind of mantra that has...
In that language, you may not have said it, but that's exactly what you just said for the last 7 minutes.
You're right, but that kind of that language was not in my vernacular back then.
Because you're talking about making sure that you're being prudent to the taxpayers' dollars. You're respecting your investors, which
respecting the client.
Yeah, you're respecting the client.
I'm being honest.
And you're respecting the team by saying the designer and the developer are not two separate people in two separate silos. It is respect for the people.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great point. I didn't think of that like that.
Looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently about the manifesto, given everything you know now as the sage wisdom that has been bestowed upon you in the 15 years?
Well, what I find interesting is, I kind of pulled out of the scene after the first couple years because it turned into, it's a classic crossing the chasm. So, early on, early adopters were awesome. Even with TogetherSoft, when we released that, early adopters like myself, I loved it. Oh, sweet, new toys every 3 months. And then when I kind of joined force with Peter Code and I kept that up, hey, new toys every 3 months. Until I started going to some of our bigger clients after we hit like some 6-figure deals. and you start walking to see some people in the cubicles, like, you shouldn't really be using the software.
No.
Like, right? You know, it's kind of like...
Devalued it for you.
Yeah, because there was kind of a...
This is ours, and you're ruining it?
You don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to revoke your license. And it's kind of like that with Agile. You know, there's a lot of Agile in name only. There was a lot of, like, wow. Dude, yeah.
So this is like 95?
Oh, when? From Together Soft? No.
Like, is this point when you're starting to walk into the six-figure contracts, the large companies?
No. That was...
I'm sorry, I meant 2005. I'm aging myself.
Yeah. No, so for the big six-figure contract from Together Soft, that would have been probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have gotten our first six-figure in 97 or 98.
Yeah.
But then we started, you know... Anyway. But
So your biggest... Like, so the next question...
So Agile was kind of like that, where it became like Scrum. Like WTF. Scrum you could do to, like, paint your house. Right? It says nothing. It's agnostic about doing software. So I had no issue with it. You know, especially the guys explaining. I'm like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, like to me, Agile. This is I'm saying this with the modesty of an ant, because I've studied a lot of U.S. history. I hold our founders in deep reverence, and I find the 53 of them that got together miraculous. And you got to read more about it if you have some weird mythology about what really went on. You know, if you're like tainted by propaganda, let me tell you, it was a miracle that they created in such succinct fashion something that has lasted longer than any form of government on the history of the face of this earth. Even though we're fucking it up right now, and we're not following it right now, so you can't complain about how the hell it goes now. But the way that they wrote it is like amazing. And I find, in very, very, very small fashion, the Agile Manifesto is similar. Like, go ahead, try to refute those 4 bullets. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, right.
Because, in my mind, they both got to the essence of human behavior. That's the key, right? Our founders got to the essence of humans are fallible. The day you get angels running government, you can have a big government. Until that time, F off.
Hey, as we sit here, I do want to ask one question.
But
those founders of the country, where did they write that document?
Philly, baby.
Damn right they did, John. Damn right they did.
That's right. Come to Philly and learn about it. Go to the Constitution.
I voted for Gary Johnson too, man. So that's it.
Right? In my opinion, our current state, it's a symptom. Right? The current state of our politics is a symptom.
So,
and it sucks, but it
bringing
is.
that back into the manifesto, though, like, what is the biggest regret you guys have, or not you guys, you personally, what is the biggest regret that you have?
I don't think I can really, you know, even in hindsight, I wouldn't change any of the wording. I mean, I don't think I'd add something like, and don't just do Scrum, damn it. Right? You know, that shouldn't be the 5th bullet. Like, because it's really grow a brain, and, you know, and those who get it and understand it and embrace it don't need to crow about it and tout it, and just go out, do the right thing, empower your teams. You know, the whole point is you got to use your brain and understand. You know, it didn't say do these things. It said, like, we're wishy-washy, right? It said about, you know, like, I love to. If you look at my wikis, I'm verbose as hell. Like, I quote unquote document the shit out of things. But that's not the same as the documentation I got doing DoD consulting, or the request to build these asinine documents before you can start doing something to even prove that they make sense, right? So I think it's a little bit of a symptom of everyone wants a quick fix. No one wants to put the hard work in. No one wants to do like marketing and research and maybe go test out the UX, maybe go see if this requirement, you know, everyone wants I just want to follow. Like, to me, RUP was brilliant because you have cogs in a wheel and tasks for each cog. It's a no-brainer. I don't have to think. All right, well, go do some freaking factory work. I'm not hiring you to do that.
I've never heard anyone say RUP was brilliant before.
You look at this, it was brilliant because when people would throw stuff at me, I could use it as a reference and go find out.
So you
What's
used
an
it as
SRD?
but you used it as
I
a
could look
tool,
it up.
not as an instruction.
Yeah, I could look up what the hell somebody meant by the stupid term that's trying to blow me off because they don't, they can't. So, anyway.
Let's shift away then. So we talked about biggest regrets. You want to change the wording of anything, but what are you happy with? Like, I'm not sure how. I'm vain. So if my name's on the Agile Manifesto as a signer, I'm reading that every single night. Like if I'm on Tinder or if I'm on Match.com, I'm putting that shit on there. Yeah, exactly that. But like,
Luckily that's not on audio.
no, video. It is audio. We got audio under control.
Yeah, but you didn't hear it.
Yeah. So what do you look back
That's
at?
hilarious. I got a story for that.
What?
No, it'll wrap up. Don't worry.
Hopefully. So no, the greatest success. Like when you look back and you're
Well,
like,
hang on though. So the whole bullets and like being a signer. So I remember one job on one. I might have been some place I was keynoting at, but I'd go to other people's conferences. There speaks, and so there was one. Then I would have different talks myself. And I remember one that I went to was about Agile. I remember making a comment in my talk about, yeah, it's great, like some people can recite the bullets. I'm not sure I can. Literally. Like right now, if you put me on the spot, even after the beers, I could probably come close to the 4 bullets.
even the principles.
Oh, the 12 principles?
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. No chance. No chance. Oh my, that's 12.
Well, I've been putting
That's
them
my
on-
wife. I
yeah.
can barely remember 3 things at once.
You got the kids' names?
Yeah, luckily, because that's why you stopped at 3. But because in my mind, it's something you embrace and live and just do, not memorize But I get it, right? I mean, part of I don't know why the hell the Japanese martial arts crap is all over our industry, but that's the whole shu-ha-ri stuff. Right. I get it that if you're in the shu, you gotta kind of try to
mimic something.
It's a starting point.
Yeah. That is why Scrum took off in my
Probably because it's very dogmatic. It's dogmatic. It's following a dogma.
It's simple to understand.
It's simple to understand. It's a dogma. It's not I don't have to necessarily think about it to get started. So to me, that's not a regret, but that's a story about I don't memorize the bullets. I don't even know them because I try to live them and just do them, and because they emanated partly from me and my cohorts, right?
That's
so,
awesome.
So that's that was and funny is the guy came up to me afterwards. He says, "Oh, I was that guy you were talking about." He goes, "Yeah, I practiced really hard to memorize it because I was afraid of messing them up, and especially I saw you in the audience."
Oh, I got a story for you after this.
So anyway,
that's similar.
Essentially.
Yeah,
It's like, especially someone like yourself who's just like,
Yeah. So to me, that's what's natural about it, and that's kind of why I pulled out of it because it became more of a
do it.
People shelling it, selling it, shilling it, which is fine. I don't mind. Make money, knock yourself out.
So, back into the positive though. Like, what is the greatest thing that came out of that in your opinion? Like, obviously, there's a million different answers to that question, but for Jon Kern, like, what's the best thing that came out of the manifesto itself?
I think the fact that whether it might have happened on its own accord, but it empowered people to push back against the heavyweight process, which I felt was inefficient, ineffective, and missing the point. And tried to push our industry, because my very first public talk was software engineering was the title, and the subtitle was an oxymoron in your company. Because as an engineer, I started learning about the software craft. I'm like, you guys are horrible. Right? I mean, like, you gotta be, like, thank God nothing in the world is really built like software. Because, damn if I'm sitting in this warehouse drinking beer if it was built like we build software. As an engineer, I was appalled by what I saw. It's like, oh my God, you have horrible practices and processes. But anyway, so it was, to me, that's the best thing that came out of it, was more more ways for people to feel that they can be more pragmatic and try to do the right thing. And
I love that word.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, I think that's the best thing that came out of the manifesto as well.
Pragmatism being accepted in industry as not only a way to do things, but the right way to do things is a beautiful thing. I absolutely believe that. What was I'm sorry.
I was going to say, there's nothing better than being able to break out the manifesto in front of like a Scrum advocate and being able to say, how does this help me do any of the things that are on this list? And say, well, I have ideas about how to do things that are on this list, and it doesn't involve me adhering to this process that is being defined for me.
yeah, and
It's funny that we're now, I'm sorry, I don't mean to
okay, go
interrupt you,
ahead.
but like looking at Scrum saying this process is telling me what to do. Scrum compared to like pre-Scrum process is so lightweight. And we're sitting here, we're like, oh, Scrum is so dogmatic. Scrum is so dictatorial. Holy shit.
that's a good observation.
I mean, we've worked in environments
that we
where...
move the bar.
that is now a pain in the... Scrum is now a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, greatest success. And what is the... When you look back and you're like, this came out of it...
My
I know
greatest
you
success
said-
is marrying my wife so that we have 3 really good kids that she helped raise predominantly.
And one of them speaks fluent Spanish.
Yes.
But you went with lightweight documentation, right? So that shit. Given what you said about your aerospace and your background, putting forth the idea that we give engineers enough information to let them make intelligent decisions. I mean, is that a good paraphrase of what you feel was your biggest goal?
That's a good paraphrase for how I try to run projects.
Okay. But the manifesto itself, what would you say is the greatest success that came of that? Maybe at the meta level.
I would say the death of RUP and other things like it.
I feel like just 5-10 minutes ago you were saying RUP was good.
No, I'm saying it's a great resource.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they had enough money for somebody to spend all that time to write about SDLC. Right? I mean, it's like a historical document.
Yeah.
Guarantee if you've never done a government project and you get something with freaking acronyms, you can go look it up.
There's a movie, I can't remember what the name of it is, but the guy that was the police sergeant from the original Law and Order was in it. I'll go down a whole...
Okay.
But it was the thing where they...
You're supposed to know what that means.
It was going somewhere. I swear to Christ, it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about the no real regrets. The biggest success was the death of RUP and the lightweight documentation finding its way into our common vocabulary now. But what was the biggest surprise? Be it positive, negative, or just like that, holy shit, this happened.
Yeah, that.
Sitting here in this bar with me?
Basically, holy shit, this happened.
Oh, all of it.
Oh, yeah.
You guys didn't feel like there was something, it wasn't like the 55... No?
No. So, we had a 10th year reunion that they paid us to come out there and be at. So I was like, except for the beginning, I participated in the beginning, like I said. I was there in the beginning and did like the Agile Alliance and, but then dropped out. But the 10th year reunion, they, 2011, they paid us to come out. And they were soliciting ideas for t-shirts. My brilliant suggestion was like 4 measly bullets and all this shit happened, right? They didn't accept that. So I just have like Agile Manifesto author and like something else.
You didn't see any of this?
Well, no, we didn't pick my shirt. That was my suggestion for the team. So no, we didn't see any of this.
How do you feel about that? No, honestly, how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about sitting here today just...
Wonderfully surprised. Yeah, because we literally, I mean, I didn't leave there thinking, wow, just wait till this hits the press. No, really did not.
Follow-up question then. What was the point when you realized, holy shit, this thing is becoming big? Like, what was that?
Well, I think the fact that I would say Martin Fowler really was a good facilitator, and some of the old elder statesmen, were also good. I think the fact that they were able to corral us, and we were able to come up with 4 things that seemed to be the common threads, themes, whatever you want to say.
It is impressive you pulled that off.
Surprise.
It's impressive you pulled that off in 2 days. Honestly,
it is
because
and not even 2 full days.
Yeah, 2 half days because
right.
of skiing and drinking.
Yeah, and drinking. Yeah.
I mean, like, what was the point where? Because obviously you said that you had no idea it was going to take off the way it did.
Right.
So what was the point where it first hit you, like when you saw other people using it, or when you saw something or some company where you were like, oh my god, like, we created something that's becoming huge or going to be really big.
Well, that's kind of an interesting question, because the one thing like that I remember was something that Peter Code and I created. And I remember seeing it on, like doing some consulting in New York with some company, and like seeing this funny diagram on the wall of a developer's cubicle. Like, oh, yeah, cool. They printed that thing out.
That's awesome.
That I put like, in that like, I think it was from the Borland CD.
Okay.
Right? So I was like, sweet. So it was like that, where you would see like people actually giving a crap.
Right.
And I don't remember it, like that one I remember distinctly, because that really was some stupid diagram I created. It was like, yeah, anyway. But so I don't remember it as distinctly, but I do know seeing the manifesto printed out,
right,
and hearing people tell me, thank you. I printed the damn thing out and put it on our like hallway wall, so I don't remember where it was distinctly, but I remember them being told and thanked for that they could take that page, those bullets, and just kind of do an FU to their, to people who were telling them to do stupid things.
You guys have inspired a whole new generation of technologists, of creative thinkers, of problem solvers, and of engineers. And I think a lot of the innovation and the disruptive nature of things that we're seeing today, whether you like to take this as a compliment or a slight, is because of the line of thinking that you guys perpetuate.
That would be nice.
It's not nice, it's reality. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, like it's no longer just a picture on a wall. You guys have actually changed the mindset of the way people look at problem society and our place in history, as we need to do what we can with the intelligence and the abilities that we've been granted, given where we were born and who we are, to make this place a little bit better. And freeing up the way that we think about things and putting pieces together as creative thinkers really was set in stone by you guys.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you're trying to dig into that and maybe resurrect it and try to, continue to highlight that was probably the original intent, the most important initial fallout, because that, in my mind, is the most lasting benefit that we could hope for, is that it much like the Constitution, you can screw it up, right? You can be like, our Republican name only, kind of like we are now, or you can get your shit together, learn a little bit more about the history, about where it came from and the context, and try to live it.
So, it is actually one of the questions, but it's perfect right here. So, how do you feel about when people talk about Agile as a methodology? What emotions does that evoke, and how do you respond to people that speak?
That sounds like an oxymoron. I think Agile is more of a mindset than a methodology.
Okay, so what does that mean to you? Like, what is the difference between a mindset and a methodology?
Well, methodology means I could look, let's do Agile. So to me, Rupp was a methodology. Scrum's a methodology. I don't know. Name some more.
Methodology has a cookbook kind of.
It does, right?
process.
I can read about it,
exactly.
and I can follow it in a dogmatic fashion as I learn about it. So, love it or hate it, the Agile Manifesto purposely did not prescribe. Right? It's not a prescriptive methodology. So there is no such thing as an Agile methodology written somewhere, right? It's not on a wall. It's more of a, I hope to heck that someone building software that can kill you is not following the same process as someone just doing some brand new startup marketing bullshit website or web app. Please tell me you're not following the same methodology, whatever it is. So to me, that's the difference. It's right sizing the mindset and being as agile as you can be in your world. Because, like man in the loop, control systems, something that really better be damn well like fail safe, better be developed with a much more arduous process. Still be agile, still doesn't have to be, well, prove to me in a document that it works. No. Test the shit out of it. Prove to me that you've got all the branches covered. Right? I mean, I'd go like insane and be really gnarly about a really strict process before it gets pushed.
Yeah.
But it still might be way more agile than it was with some stupid, fake, heavyweight process that just BS'd you into thinking it was better.
Absolutely.
So anyway, to me, it's a mindset, not a process or a methodology that I can point to.
So, I think science, technology, engineering, and math, right, STEM, is thankfully.
I'm a duly elected school board official, by the way.
Are you?
Speaking of STEM.
So as a father of a daughter, and I know you have at least one daughter.
Two.
The twins are daughters.
Yeah.
We have a whole new...
Not identical.
We have a whole new generation that is going to be stepping into STEM, right? And they're going to have the benefit, and I use that word intentionally, they're going to have the benefit of having an agile mindset within most organizations that they step into. What do you hope Agile does for that next generation? Like, as these agilists and agilistas step into the next industry, or the next generation, the next wave of talent that comes into our world, what do you hope for them that came out of what you guys did 15 years ago?
Well, I hope they don't have to suffer maybe some of the things that I did for like DoD projects and doing stupid stuff for stupid sake. That they can instead focus on delivering value more quickly. And you pointed out, Ryan, that parts of it is respecting each other, the client, and sustainable pace, right? Some of those other goofy bullets on the other page. I think that also helps to make it a better environment within which to be doing this. To me, I code all the time. I suck at it. I'm like a kindergarten, but I code at home. I do it on the side. I do it for a side project. I do it at work. I love it. So I hope that we've made it not suck as much as it might have had we not been around.
I promise. I just to give you resolution, I promise you, unequivocally, you have, and you've done it probably more than you'll ever give yourself credit for.
Good.
You guys, all of you, because I came up in the environment right as it was happening, right? So I graduated school in 2001, but I was working professionally prior to that. And
so you experienced it.
Yeah. And I would not be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for coming into the Agile world.
Me too.
At least for me personally, I would have left. I would have done something completely different. And I'm not kidding. And
right.
We may have one more brewery in Conshohocken.
Right. Yeah.
I was doing DoD work in the mid to late 90s, just like you were. I know the pain that was.
Right?
It was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? This is my last question. These other guys might have some other questions, and I don't even know how many of these I hit. But you can punt. Because I don't want you to smash.
I'm a left-footed punter, but right-handed.
All right. I don't want to put you on the spot to make you smash anything or anybody, but is there anything that came out of this whole thing, be it one of the other signers, be it one of the methodologies, or one of the anything that just makes your stomach twist and be like, I wish that wasn't associated with what we did?
That's a great question. That's what interviewees say to interviewers.
Yeah, while you're scrambling. It makes me feel validated. Like I actually.
No, but it actually is a good question.
Thank you.
So I have to search because probably not, because I'm kind of not. I'm certainly not that personality that I would care that much. I mean, to each their own. I mean, but I can't. I certainly don't. I can't think of anything like, oh, this damn Schwaber and a freaking Scrum shit. No, I wouldn't say that. Or even think that, because their process is valuable and has helped a lot of people also break the mold. Now, whether they get out of it or they figure things out that are beyond that, I don't know. I mean, there's certainly been a lot of angst. Like to me, I can be snarky about, there's no such thing as a master in a 2-day course. Sorry. Oxymoron, right? Can't be. It just can't. But I don't care, because it's just like if anybody who, I hired a kid that I met autocrossing, one of my best employees. But my one partner, his GPA's not so good. So? Right, so, I'm kind of I'm much more about aptitude and attitude than any kind of, I'm not going to complain and say, great, someone's got a Scrum Master degree. Cool. At least you did 2 days worth of something. Right? Well, awesome.
This goes back to a word you used early on.
But now you got to use it, right? I'm going to judge you on what you do and what you know, not what you got. There's been talk about certification for Agile. Good luck. I mean, I'm not that guy.